All right, welcome to Rose Red Studios, where we talk about all things storytelling. And today we're specifically talking about novel writing because 2025 is the year. I'm going to start finishing some manuscripts and putting things together. I have, since 2022, put a lot of work into kind of creating some novels, putting some words down, putting, story lines down, but I haven't finished anything. And I've come to realize that I have about like 10 novels in my head right now. They're all competing for my attention. So I decided to start the year off. I have made myself a writing planner as a place to track my writing, to plot out novels, to keep an eye on where I'm at with ones I'm actually working on, but also continue to plan out the ones that I haven't read yet or written yet. So I'm going to walk you through the planner that I created. I did purchase some planner pages specifically designed for writers from Etsy and downloaded them. And so I will include that link to those pages in my description. But that was where I started, and then I kind of created from there, and I'll give you a look. And then I'm going to do a follow-up at the end of the year to see how much of this planner I used and what worked and what didn't work. But I think I'm off to a good start with this. All right, so here's the planner that I made front to back, and I will go over all the materials I used to actually make this at the end of the video. This is called the Happy Planner size. The pages that I downloaded from Etsy came in Happy Planner A4 and A5, and that is linked in the description. And I just decided that I liked this size best of all the different sizes. This is kind of like the mid-range size, and it just felt like a little bit more portable, but also enough space to write in. So this set that I downloaded came with a ton of pages, all of which I have not used yet. But I did want to start by creating myself a monthly look at what I'm doing. And I'm not putting any of my appointments or anything like that on this. This is solely for creative work. And what I've done is I've kind of created a color coding system with each activity has a color on it so that I can, at the end of the day, mark down what I did that day just with the colors. And my goal is to have at least one color a day, if not multiple. I am using Posca markers to create these colors because I just felt like of all the markers I tried, those were like the easiest just to put down a blob of color at the end of the day. And that way I can just look and see what I have done today or what I did this week, if I worked on my comic, if I worked on my book, and gives me a good overview of the month and like what I put my time into. So I did already created a couple of months just put in there. There are some journal pages that I could add to this to just kind of like write down ideas for getting into a better habit of writing. I do have a section in here for my comic and for content, but that's just a really small part of this I'm just using for tracking some stuff. Most of it is the writing planner. So as I wanted to do a little art project, so I decided to create a little piece of art for each book series that I have, sitting in my head. So I made this one for a vampire series. It makes sense to me, and it was just a lot of fun to do. So then I created for each book has, let's see if I can get this open. Here we go. This page where I can kind of write out the basics of the story. I've got the title, I've got like a little synopsis on like the ideas or the tropes that we're using. I've got a word count goal, and then I've got a like a deadline that I'm putting on myself. I'm giving myself some time this year to get started. And this one I already had some of it written when I started, so I've labeled out like what percentages I have done so far. And I like that this gave me like a little tracker where I could kind of keep my progress going and know what percentage of the book I had actually completed. So because this one is already really far along, the only thing I've printed out for this particular book is this writing progress, where I'm going through and putting down a daily word count. This is the date I started on. And then each day, just write down my word count and try to get, at the minimum a couple hundred words down a day, but hopefully a couple of thousand words a day. I'm really hoping this helps me just feel like I'm actually making some real progress and not really being aware of what I'm doing each day kind of slows you down. I'm also using this page just to kind of like track what I'm doing each day in terms of like hours I'm putting in and what those hours are translating into word count, because I'm hoping to kind of give myself a better idea of how much time it takes to create a draft for me. And so I need to know like how many hours does this many words take to write, and my goal is to put like 8 to 10 hours a week into this. So then that would help me gauge like, okay, how many words am I going to actually write in that time? So the rest of this section is devoted to books that I want to do as a sequel to the book I'm writing right now. So I've just started putting some basic pages together. I've given this the same front cover where I'm going to start putting down ideas, the title of it. I've made just 100,000 words my like general novel word goal. Sometimes I'll go over, sometimes it'll be a little bit less, but that's my general goal. I haven't done anything on this yet, so no progress. But this is giving me some space to start researching some ideas. So it came with this like topic research page. My handwriting is very messy when I do these things, so sorry. They're just a little bit of a mess looking. Right now I'm just doing like topical research to give me ideas of things I want to put in the book and themes that I want to use. I took some more of these journal pages just to write down things that stood out to me. So I'm keeping track of things that like, oh, this is what I'm researching. These are things that are coming up in the research. And then the journal pages, I'm putting in things that specifically jump out to me. So I've got a couple of pages for different topics to research. And then I'm going to create a character list of like characters that I know I want from the previous book to show up. And then what new characters I'm going to add in this sequel. So that's going to be probably start after I get all the research done. I'll start with the character list and try to decide which characters get to continue and which characters stay in the past. And then to like move those characters forward, I'm going to create a character profile and just get down some notes about like for the new characters especially what they look like, what their personalities are, what their goals are, just to kind of give me a like quick sketch of the new characters as I blend them into a new storyline. So I'm hoping this will help me like build the character a little bit quicker. So basically each novel that I have, which there are about 10 in my head, are getting this treatment. And I went ahead and decided to make like dividers for each one of my stories. So that was for my science fiction story. And then I am internally writing a fan of the novel, fan of the opera novel. So this is my divider for that. This one I've actually put a fair amount of work into already. So the cover sheet is I already have like 70% of it done, which was exciting to actually think about when I took the time to know what I had actually put down on it, which that's something that this is giving me, is like a chance to look at stuff I've already worked on and see what the progress is on that. So this is good to know. I have like 70% of this book already read or already written. So again, with this one, I would only be putting in the page for word counting since all the planning is done for it. And then lastly, I have this little fantasy duology in my head, so I made up this strange little cover that was a lot of fun to put together or just paint for a while. And that same thing, I'm just adding a bunch of pages in the background to like pull forward and use. One thing that's nice about this ring system is that I can print out a bunch of pages that I think might want to use, and I can pull them out and put them into this system really easily. It also does like allow me to do this. I like being able to like fold it over like that. I've always preferred spiral bounds to enable you to do that. But you do kind of have to be a little bit careful with the ring systems. You have to use it two-handed. You cannot do it one-handed. So yeah, this is what the system lets you do. I can pull a page out. I printed up a bunch of these journal pages. I can pull a page out. I can go to a new section and I could add in. So that way, like, I'm not having a bunch of dead pages that I don't end up using in one section. I can just put the exact number of pages I need in each section and the type of page that I need in that section. I can just put it in. I can turn the page. I can do another one. And that's really why I like doing this ring system, which the rings you can get pretty much anywhere. I got these on Amazon. But like I said, you do have to be kind of careful about turning pages because they will like flip out a little bit easy. So this is just a nice, I don't know, I like this system. The system has worked for me. I've tried a couple of different ones, and I like systems that have a ton of flexibility. And that's what this does. Like, it's just very, very flexible. I can just put in whatever I want. I can, make it into this style where I can just sit on the sofa and write like this. And then, yeah, it's an easy process to do. Now, to get to like what materials were actually used, of course, you need paper for this, but you're not going to use regular printer paper. You have to use a thicker paper so that it can peel in and out easier. Regular printer paper would pretty much buckle and tear if you did that. So you need a thicker paper. I use 32 pound. So it's not as thick as cardstock because cardstock would just be too heavy, but it's much thicker than just traditional printer paper. And that makes it much more durable because you're going to end up moving pages a lot. Like you just do. And also like slipping them back and forth, on the rings, it's going to wear out. So 32-pound paper helps quite a bit. Now for these individual pages in between that I laminated, I actually used Bristol paper, so they would be quite thick. And because I was painting on them, I also wanted something really thick that would take the paint. So Bristol is fairly smooth, but it's still thick enough to take paint and not buckle too bad. I did gesso them before I put the paint down, and then layered it down. I did do a couple of pages that were just the 32-pound and laminated them, and they worked fine, but they're just a little bit too thin for me. So that's why I went with the Bristol for when I was painting and doing something much similar, because I just liked the weight of that being the like sections between. It just felt a lot better than me than like when I tried this with the 32. It's fine, but I just preferred the covers and these individual things being in the Bristol, being thicker, and also again, it can take paint, whereas like the 32-pound can't take paint the way the Bristol can. So it just made a nice thing, a nice little thing. Because the paint, it does create kind of a texture, and the texture is a little iffy when you laminate it. Bristol is very smooth, so it's going to create less of a texture issue when you laminate. And laminating is important because you're going to be using this quite a bit. It travels with me up and down stairs, and if I want to take it out with me, and it needs to be laminated just to like help it stay together. But you also will need an arc printer, not printer, an arc punch for this system. You can also get a Happy Planner punch specifically for this size. I got the arc because then you can make it any size that you want to. So like I have in the past done like A5s and A4s for different things. And the arc allows you to do all those sizes. You kind of have to like monkey with it to find the right size for Happy, because the Happy Planner size isn't preset into this, but you can just monkey around with it. And this will punch all of your pages so that they go into any ring system. So you just buy the rings individually. I got them in this color because I like this color. And then you line them up to the size that you're looking for. And this arc punch can go through multiple sheets pretty well. Like you don't want to overload it, but it can go through a fair amount pretty quickly. As a quick one, I do use the Amazon Basics laminator and Amazon Basics laminating sheets. They work just fine. Scotch sheets work a little bit better in terms of durability, but I didn't have any for this size. I just had the Amazon Basics, so that's fine. That works for this. All right, if you would like to purchase any of the products I used to create this, or if you want a link to the pages I used to download from Etsy, I've got all that in the description, as well as a link to my weekly comic that I produced about my adorable but crazy dog, and I hope to see you next time.